Hello there, everyone. Welcome to r/entitled people, where the people are very entitled. If you enjoy the stories I have for you all today, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and all that wonderful stuff. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Entitled sister tries to bribe her way into my wedding. So for those who haven't read my bile-filled rant about my so-called sister, the TLDR is that she's responsible for 99% of all the problems my family has had. From stealing everything that isn't nailed down, to bringing groups of people to the house to attack us, and many more things. But anyways, here we go. A few months ago, my mother came to my home to deliver some mail on my day off work. We got to chatting about wedding plans for next year. And after bouncing a few ideas off of her and getting some pushback on the child-free aspect of the wedding, she brought up my sister. Now, I'm probably the only member of my family besides my mother who's ever going to get married, such as she wants all of her kids to be together for it. My brothers are coming and will probably be my groomsmen. She asked my fiancé if my sister could be a bridesmaid, to which I cut in and said no. I said that under no circumstances would I allow that thing near my fiancé out at the wedding. My mother didn't take this well. I haven't really stood up to her before, as I've always been a shy person, thanks to my fiancé for giving me a spine. And while she didn't start shouting or anything like that, she did put on the puppy dog eyes and briefly try to convince me. I said no, and that I wasn't going to continue talking about it. And for a few weeks, all I would do is get passing comments that I would always shut down. I would always reiterate that I want nothing to do with her, and that as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a sister. This seemed to hurt my mother, as her only wish in life is to have all her kids get along. But then the gifts started arriving. First, it was just some small trinkets that I would leave at my mother's accidentally. Then it was moved to food and things that my mother was gifted to me by my sister. The last thing I received was a cigar worth about 50 euros in a metal tube, and a cigarette cutter to go with it. My mother commented, "See, she's changed, and obviously thinking of you. Would it be such a bad thing to forgive her and let her come to the wedding? You don't have to make her a bridesmaid, but she can still attend." Now this resulted in me again putting my foot down. And after 10 minutes of her trying to convince me, I shouted at her that again. I didn't want my lying, thieving, see you next Tuesday in my life sister. And then I stormed out. After that, the gift stopped and my mother hasn't mentioned her since. This one isn't juicy as the last one, but I thought I'd update the story for you all. Thanks again for all the support on the last post, guys. Love you all. Entitled teacher gets mad at my disabilities. First of all, excuse me for having any spelling mistakes and bad English. I'm extremely sick and English isn't my first language and I have dyslexia and a hard time writing coherent stories. So for context, I'm 17 female, so in 07, but my class is mostly 08 students. I'm autistic and have extreme sensory issues, and I have informed the school about my disabilities. I also had a really traumatic childhood, so I don't know the correct term, traumatic amnesia, so I don't remember a lot of my childhood. This is important for the story later on. I heard some horror stories about our Finnish language teacher, but I wanted to think that people who talk crud about teachers are just over-exaggerating the stories. Oh, was I wrong? I walk into class 20 minutes early because I like to be early in my new classes, to pick a good place to sit and to just chill, because it was a new teacher to me and I wanted to give a good first impression. My friends and I come sit on the same tables. As I was sitting, one of my friends was going to call them friend. So friend one has bread with him in the class because he's a growing teen and needs food, and that food for the day wasn't the most good, as most teachers are in normal classes. But this teacher gets mad about it. That's red flag number one. Give the teacher a little bit of a WTF face. After the name call and a little bit of getting to know the students. In this class, the teacher gave us assignments. It's to write a timeline about our childhood. To the current time, my friends can probably see me go a little pale for mentioning about the fact that I need to recall my childhood memories. But I try to do the assignment. I start by writing my birthday, insert birthday here, and the teacher says, "You got your birthday wrong." And I bluntly say, "I'm sorry, but I think that I know my birthday better than a person who I just met 30 minutes ago." She walks off, and I do my thing. And she gives more instructions, and I try to remember stuff from my childhood. And then notice that friend one has made their papers super cool with little drawings and stuff. And I say a bit loudly because I can't really regulate the volume of my voice due to my autism, "Wow, yours looks so much cooler than mine." The teacher walks up to me and says, "Insert name here. Can you take your headphones off while in the classroom? Because it's making you talk really loudly." I start to get anxious because I've been bullied about my sometimes annoyingly loud voice. I hate writing stuttering, but I have to for the sake of the story. I'm sorry, I can't really regulate the tone. I get cut off by the teacher. "And you have hardly written anything on your paper. I think you really aren't that insert autistic slur, that you can't even remember something about your childhood." I'm sorry, but I can't really remember anything about my childhood for reasons I don't want to share with you. I start getting a little teary-eyed and notice that if I don't get anything to soothe me right now, I'm going to have a meltdown in the middle of the class. And I keep a bar of dark chocolate in my bag to take a small bite when I feel anxious. But when I try to even take the bar out, the teacher yells, "I said there's no weed in my classroom, and take those headphones off now or you'll be sent outside of the class and aren't getting an absent marking." At this point, me and my friends have had enough, so friend 2 says, or almost shouts, "Can't you see that she's having a panic attack from you scolding her for stupid reasons? Those headphones aren't even connected to her phone. They're in her ears because she has very sensitive hearing, and you shouting at her isn't making it any better. And as of a matter of fact, I think she'll kindly go outside and get that stupid marking, if it means you'll stop being mean to her for no reason at all. And you know what? I'll go with her, because you have actually caused her to have a meltdown because of your ableist behavior." I look at my hands and try to find something to fiddle with, while rocking back and forth. And at this point, I'm actually having a meltdown. And for me, I go nonverbal while having a meltdown. "My name. Do you want to go outside of the class to have your little temper tantrum, huh? Answer me and look at me when I'm talking to you." I. At this point, my friend and other friends have come to take my stuff and walk me up from my trance, and take me hand and lead me to the hallway, and from there to the students' hangout room that has sofas, and we could hear the teacher slam the door shut. Rest of the stories from what I heard my friends say. So after we left, the teacher says, "So that is not how you want you guys to act like. I thought that at this age you'd know how to act like in class." My friend says she's autistic, for God's sake. The teacher says, "I don't care if you're Santa Claus or Alexander Stubb. You can't act like children in my class and be disrespectful towards me." The random classmate said she wasn't being disrespectful. She was just behaving fine. You're the one who made a big fuss about her having headphones on and literally just existing. The teacher said, "Well, I saw her wrist, so maybe she tried not to exist at one point." And the teacher giggles. The rest of the story was not told to me because apparently she said some really bad things about me. And yes, she was put on leave for her actions. I hope this story was at least a bit understandable. Our entitled roommate is trying to govern the house. I moved in July to a 5 people apartment in a small Spanish city. I'm Spanish as well, known for its university life. I'm a student, so there are 2 girls that arrived in August, while the other guy is working, and we're all in our 20s. The issue is the 5th roommate, an adult American woman who's 40 years old, that moved in late August. We don't know her age or her specific job, or just that she's from California, but she's been nothing but a nuisance. When I knew that we would be living with an adult woman, I worried, correctly so, that instead of trying to cohabitate, she would try to behave like she was the head of the household and try to impose her own rules. And so she does. When she wants something done, it has to be done when she says so. She doesn't agree with chore division and hates our leniency with those, and has been complaining nonstop about storage arrangements when there's plenty of space except for the fridges. When we are a headache to administrators. She also only speaks English and barely makes any effort to communicate in Spanish. I'm fluent in English, my other roommates aren't. So that part of basic communication just doesn't work well. But what we all agree on is that she has been fixated on me for some reason. It started with fat-phobic remarks. She became so super aggressive with me and tried to command my own storage space. Since I own loads of ingredients, I offered to free it up if others needed, but they refused as they had their own storage chosen and divided. She said I couldn't use more than one cabinet, but the thing is, she uses 2 different cabinets. She uses 2 bathrooms and doesn't follow her chores. It's a common thing for her. Rules for thee, but not for me. It then becomes a constant aggression with me, but I grey rocked her while losing my patience. Otherwise, my other roommates are sweet, responsible, and respectful. We always talk and agree on things. No single problem has arisen between us that couldn't be fixed with a quick conversation. It came ahead when I was using the kitchen, cooking while listening to my music in my headphones. I like to cook and always clean after myself. She barged into the kitchen, accusing me of occupying loads of space. There's plenty of space. 3 people can cook at the same time in the kitchen, and demanding I stop spending time there, while also calling me a hog. At this point, I lost my patience, raised my voice, and laid into her. I called her obnoxious, disrespectful, demanding, and unreasonable. That she's been nothing but a problem since she arrived, and forbade her from speaking and demanding unreasonable things until further notice. My other roommates heard the argument and they sided with me, which further annoyed her. She tried to establish new rules, like not using the kitchen beyond 6 p.m., informing when visits are coming, or a mandatory common lunch each week. The resounding no at the unison clearly bothered her, and she just shut herself in her room. Since then, she's been avoiding us, and we've been doing the same. She barely comes out of her room and doesn't speak a word. Sometimes she says stupid stuff on the group chat, but she's ignored or cut off. The agency that manages the flat is aware of the trouble, and we agreed that if after this period of silence she persists, then she will be asked to leave. She probably realized that she cannot force her will on us, and that we don't want to deal with her. As for now, she's not acknowledged me at all, so at least she's respecting my wishes. I don't feel bad because my other roommates and I are a united front. We know how to deal with her, and I just hope she reflects and chooses the best thing for her, to stay and behave or leave. Other issues with her is that she's awake at night, so we hear her in the kitchen making noise at 4 or 5 a.m. But she complains if we make noise during the morning or midday because she's sleeping. She usually sends passive-aggressive messages at those hours, requesting chores to be done as soon as possible. but we just say we will do those on our timetable. She's laughed at one of my roommate's accent, mocking how she speaks. She tries to manipulate the other girls into giving them gifts, which are old clothes she leaves on their doors. And when something doesn't go her way, she goes, "I've been so good with you, I give you gifts." There are many more, but this post is getting too long. Refuse to communicate in English with her. Make her learn Spanish. That's a really good way to make her upset. I cannot wait for the chaos that ensues. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and all that wonderful stuff. I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta!